Hi everybody, just covering this protest at Hyde Park. There's a few things that need sorting out, okay. One, the first thing I think is that this division that's being imposed, mostly by the mainstream media, but I've noticed it operating online on social forums like Twitter and Facebook, whereby they're trying to divide the people protesting against the lockdown and asking questions about this whole pandemic and querying the facts, or rather querying what is being presented to us as facts in face of real facts that fundamentally undermine what we're being told by the government and various other sources, be they pro or anti-government, that somehow the people who are protesting against the lockdown and etc., that somehow they're all far-right extremists or they're all Trump supporters. You know, that is purely to destroy unity among the people, because we do need to unite in the face of what amounts to mass theft of all our rights, our property, our jobs, our businesses. Coming up next is our homes. Coming up next is a lockdown during an alleged second wave that will be the result purely of the lockdown, and what this is probably hit around December when we're all again locked up in our homes while Boris Johnson sells off our NHS to America in return for America's toxic food, highly expensive toxic food, and we'll all be facing martial law with no human rights. Now that's the rock bottom of it. Okay, so you either stand up for your human rights or you don't. That's your choice, people of Britain. But regardless of what you choose, we face the facts that whether it's real or not, okay, whether people want to believe it's real or not, we are, according to all the evidence, we are facing a new virus. It is actually no more, or perhaps only very slightly more deadly than any other flu virus. The numbers of deaths have been bumped up, okay, by acts of fraud encouraged by this government, that medical doctors, hospitals are being asked to cite COVID-19 as cause of death regardless of what people have died of, even if so much as a cold is being suspected. The alleged COVID tests are actually, most of them, only testing for evidence of a coronavirus, which does include the common cold. They have given themselves rights on the strength of coronavirus, which does include the common cold. If you test positive for it, you, your children, can be carted away, forced to have experimental treatment. You can die while in your isolation centres or police custody or whatever, and there'll be no inquest into your death. Now that is what we're facing. Okay, now, on top of that, Bill Gates or some big pharma experimental vaccine that you don't know what's in it, what it's going to do to your body. Why should we trust them? Why should we trust them in a world where the polio vaccine in Africa is giving more people polio than the wild virus that the vaccinations are meant to treat? When even regular flu vaccines that have been developed for years and years, that have been developed over decades, still only have a 70% success rate, if that. And among all the people who received the flu vaccines, what is it, 36% will actually spread the virus. So, you know, think about it, people. What are you going to do? Let's just say that this COVID-19 threat is a real threat, right? It is a new virus, okay? So what you're going to do? You're either going to live with it, or you're going to roll up your sleeve for a vaccine which will not be permanent. Why do you think people have to have flu vaccines every year? Are we all going to be forced to have mandatory flu vaccines every single bloody year? Please wake up and get with reality, because I am sick to death of the social judges and this and that and the media saying this and Boris Johnson saying that, and they're all playing the same bloody game, herding us down the same road towards Bill Gates's experimental, actually dangerous vaccine. A vaccine, a rush job. You're going to you're going to subject your children to a pharmaceutical experiment. And suppose it goes wrong. Suppose it really damages our health. Oh, don't worry. The hospitals, the medics, the government, Bill Gates, none of them are liable because they've removed indemnity. Do you understand that? That right now your NHS can kill you and they're non-liable under Boris Johnson's coronavirus bill. Understand it. You don't think that's a threat. You do not think that it's a threat that somebody gives themselves a right to take a child from your home because they've tested positive for a coronavirus and you don't even know what that test is all about. You've got no idea. Are you mad, people? Are you crazy? When we're living in a world that murders people through starvation, that has left children starving in this country, that has killed 200,000 people with austerity. Do you really think they're bothered about your health? That this lockdown is to protect people's health? How is it going to protect people's health? How? Because you can't get rid of the virus by locking people up in their homes. Of course you're going to get a second wave. But actually, what we're going through now is the second wave because the first wave came probably around August, November, December, when people were catching this and getting ill with it and some of them dying of it in our thousands. Myself and two of my friends, one of whom, well, it was my friend's mum, 96 years old, who died, sadly, of this flu. Strange flu that got my asthma friend in hospital with pneumonia, that I was really sick with, that loads of my friends and my neighbours' family all suffered with in November and December time. So what we're dealing with now is the second wave. And then there's going to be a third wave. And how many waves? How long are we going to be locked down? How long are children going to be locked in their homes? Well, you know, I empathise with the people talking about we don't want to send our children back to school. And as you see again, divisively, Boris Johnson says, oh yes, schools can go back, but not Eton. So obviously that gets everybody's back up. Oh, well, my children aren't going back to school if Eton isn't going back to school. I'm sorry, Boris Johnson, that's discrimination. It's against our human rights, okay? So if the schools are open, then Eton has to be open. And if Eton's closed, then so shall all the schools remain closed. That is the way it is going to be. Get thinking clear, people, and stop falling victim to the sheepdog media, okay, which are herding you sheeple into the path of no return, which is Bill Gates lockdown, tracing you every step, tracing all your contacts, giving themselves powers to come into your home, giving themselves powers to give you forced experimental and even callous treatment, scrapping your human rights, scrapping your pensions, taking us out of the EU on a hard Brexit. How many people do you think are going to die through a hard Brexit when we've got no medicines, when you can't get your medicine from your doctor for your existing illnesses? How many people have died because they haven't been able to go to hospital, because they've been scared off, because operations have been cancelled because of the pandemic, okay? And then they get listed as dying of COVID-19. We are sick to death of it. Right, and you know, I have not advised people to go out on the streets and protest. I've advised people be clever, right? You're not gonna defeat these fascist evil bastards that are governing us right now by playing right into their hands and going on these mass protests. You stand on your doorstep like you've been doing, clapping for the NHS every week. You stand on your doorstep and you clap every week, everybody in the country, for your human rights, okay? And look, you've only got to see all these police officers, not one of them are wearing any protective gear whatsoever. They're putting this elderly man at risk by laying hands on him. He's putting them at risk. Why have they got no protection? Instead of complaining about the police, why aren't people righteously asking, where are our police force's protections? Have they all been tested? How do we know that the police in arresting us aren't giving us COVID-19 or themselves being at risk of it? And their families, what is there to protect them? I don't see anybody complaining about that. Oh yeah, well, of course, you know, the police don't have to wear masks and they don't have to social distance. Why not? Are they less important human beings than the rest of us? I tell you people, you either stand up for your human rights or you will die without them. Because as I've said in my previous video, there is nothing more deadly threat against a people than a people left with no human rights, okay? Lack of your human rights will kill you. Lack of human rights mean you can be taken, you are living in Soviet Britain, okay? That's the only difference between Soviet China and Britain, right? Why are we following communist Soviet China's directives? Why? That's what we need to be asking at ourselves. And we have to face the fact of it. Life is full of risks. You might get cancer. 1 in 3 of us are going to get cancer, if not 1 in 2, okay? Not 1 in 2 of us are going to die of COVID-19. In fact, the vast majority of us that get it won't even exhibit any symptoms. These are the facts. Face reality. Why is this man being arrested for basically standing up for his human right to protest? How are you people of Britain, how are you going to protest when Boris Johnson privatises your NHS, when he sells it off to American corporations, when he starts telling us, oh, you people who are all impoverished now because you've lost your jobs and you've lost your businesses and you're dependent on state benefits, that no, you're not going to get any healthcare treatment because you've got no money, or you're going to have a substandard healthcare treatment. Oh, sorry, no, you've got no medicines. Okay, because we pulled out of the EU and we've not got the deal sorted out yet. Oh, sorry, you've got no food on your shelves. Okay, instead you're going to eat Trump's toxic foods and you're going to pay 4 times more for them. Oh, you can't afford them because you're really poor because your business has collapsed. Because you've got no pension now. Because Boris Johnson's unlocked all the pensions to pay for the pandemic. Get fucking real, people, before you start moaning and pointing fingers at people standing up for their human rights. And like I say to people, get clever with it, okay? You want to make a protest, do it cleverly. Don't give these even more power, the government even more power, even to put our police force at greater risk. And us, okay? You do it from your doorsteps. You get everybody in the country. You bang, you clap. You bang your pan lids, you bang your drums, you whistle, you make a bloody noise, and you show these fuckers at number 10 that we have not forgotten our forebears, we have not forgotten our grandparents, we have not forgotten our ancestors and what they sacrificed and suffered. For our sake and our children's sake, and those rights are sacrosanct. And Boris Johnson, your act of tyranny, your coronavirus bill, it will be thrown in the waste paper bin where it fucking belongs.